All right, I'm getting ready to start the boat for the first time of the year, and I just wanted to walk you through the process that I do to do that. Now, I do have a video already out there for winterizing a Volvo Penta Gen 5 engine. I'll put a link to that in the description, but there are a few things about storage that I didn't talk about in that video. So what I do is when I get to where I'm going to keep the boat for the year, I do trim the drive all the way down. You're supposed to keep your drive trimmed down when in storage, even if it's in your garage for, you know, overnight or a week or so. So keep it trimmed down. It's easier on the bellows. And then I do pull both batteries. I know some folks will leave their batteries in the boat, but you never know, you might have a sneak path of current. So if you do decide to leave them in, you know, at least disconnect your negative terminals, but I do suggest pulling them out. It just takes a couple minutes and keeping them in your basement for the winter. You know, the biggest enemies of the batteries are extreme heat and extreme cold, so you might as well remove that if you can. And then what I do is I pull everything out of the boat that a mouse might want to live in, you know, floaties, towels, life jackets, anything they might want to make a home out of. So just get it out of your boat, keep it in your basement, and you'll be better off in the long run. And then I do put rodent repellent in the boat. I know a lot of folks will use Bounce or something like that. I buy something called Fresh Cab. I'll put a link to that in the description. Basically, I get a 4-pack. I put 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and I refreshen that about once over the winter. And that was actually suggested to me by some folks that camp that put it in their RV, and they've had good luck, and so far I've had good luck. So anyhow, that's kind of what I do. And now so far where I'm at today is I went and I picked the boat up from storage. I took 1 battery with me so I could get the outdrive trimmed up, and then I put both batteries back into the system here. And as you can see, I rotate my batteries. It says front even, front odd. You know, this is 2024. That's an even year, so I got that one up front. But these are the same kind of batteries. These are both marine cranking. You know, I'm not the kind that sits on the sandbar all day long with a loud stereo. If you're that type, of course, you'll want a deep cycle on one of those 2 batteries. Okay, now I'm actually getting ready to start the boat here. So I do have the hose connected. I choose to connect to this flush port. It's just closer to the impeller, so I feel water will get to the impeller quicker by connecting to that flush port. Of course, you can connect to the flush port on the rear of the boat if you prefer, or on muffs. Things to be aware of: make sure your quick drain is in the up position, and if you are connected to this port, make sure the one in the rear is closed, or if you're connected to the rear port, make sure this one's closed, or else it will draw air and not allow the impeller to work correctly. And also, you should check your impeller. If perchance you didn't winterize your boat, make sure your impeller has the cover on, and somebody didn't like pull the impeller out and was going to put it back in the spring. This is also a very good time to replace your impeller. I actually just did mine last year, so I'm not doing it this year. I also have a video to that. I'll put that in the description. And to be honest, that's like a 5 or 10 minute task, as long as you have the correct puller. And I do have in my video on what to order to get that puller. Okay, just a few more things I thought of before I turn the key. Now is the best time to check your fluid levels. Depending on what you did in the fall, make sure your oil is at the correct level, make sure your outdrive is at the correct level, and you also, you know, check your coolant and power steering fluid over here. So now what I choose to do first start of the year, you know, I'm going to turn the key and you'll hear the fuel pump prime. Now that took a while, and it's probably because the boat hasn't been started in a while. So I'm actually going to do this about 2 or 3 times. That way you can build pressure. Last year when I started the boat, it fired right up, ran for about 5 seconds, then died. I'm curious to see if this will prevent that. Now I'm going to start it after this turn. Fired right up. And one thing you want to check, make sure your oil pressure comes up at least. The next thing to check is to make sure your impeller is working. Careful sticking your hand down here, but if you don't have a partner, you can touch that. It feels cool, so it feels like there's some cool water coming through there. I'm going to jump off the boat and verify that is working. Everything looks great back here. Impeller's working. I got water coming out the exhaust and also through the exhaust bellows. Once again, that's normal. A lot of people are worried about that, but that's actually normal. There's weep holes in your bellows, so everything's looking good here. I'm going to jump back on the boat and watch it come up to temperature. So here's my water temperature. It's slowly creeping up. Typically my boat run must have like a 165 degree thermostat in it because it comes up to about 165 or a little bit more. I'm going to sit here and make sure it does do that and make sure the thermostat opens. It might drop down a little bit after it opens, but I want to make sure it doesn't keep climbing. And just one other comment. This is for a closed loop cooling system. If your boat has an old legacy system with drain plugs in it, this is the wrong video to be watching because there's more to do. The closed loop system is actually very simple. I'm not going to bore you with this, but yeah, just watch your temperature gauge. It should come up and get up to normal operating range, and then you're ready to hit the lake. So if you have any questions or other comments you'd like me to add, please just leave them in the comments. Thank you very much.